What? What is up? What is up? You want this? You want this? Who gets it? Huh? Who gets it? Who gets it? Huh? Yeah? Oh no. Wrong. If you own a rat, this is typical rat behavior for food. Very typical. Wow. There we go. You got it. He doesn't got it. He went right into the cage. Oh my god. He fell right through the cage. Rats are crazy. That's something you have to deal with. Roll the intro. Hey you guys, it's MJ and welcome back to Pet Adventures again. So today we are going to do a Meet My Pets episode, and if you've been on my channel long enough, you'll know that I haven't done a Meet My Pets episode in a pretty long time. And basically, if you're not familiar with this series on my channel, it's basically a story time for every single pet I own individually. So basically, I make one video about an individual pet that I have and give their backstory and my experiences with them and the whole 9 yards. And usually you guys like it. You guys usually like my Meet My Pets episodes. I just haven't done it in a long time. Just a quick notice here though, if you want to know about other things that I'm doing on this channel, other types of shows, I also have the Adventures Crew show where you can send in your pet videos and I make a whole big compilation of it in one video. So if you want to send in your pet videos for that show, you can just send them to petadventuresconnect@gmail.com and I will put them together as soon as I can and do what I can, and they will be here on Pet Adventures. So if you haven't read the title already, today we are going to meet Lucky. I have given lots of information about Lucky throughout my videos, but I thought in case you guys are ever familiar on Lucky's whole backstory and all my experiences with him and everything, I thought why not talk about it today. So that's what we're gonna do. Why? Why do I have this in my room? Why do I have this in my room? You know what? I'm going to drink it right now. This happens in a lot of my videos where I'm drinking something. It happens a lot. You know what? At least this may not be the best influence, okay? I'm not saying you guys gotta go out and get this stuff every day, but I am saying at least I'm not drinking alcohol. Could be worse. Could be worse. Could be worse. Could be worse. So this is Lucky. He is my eldest rat, my oldest boy, and he is definitely a charmer. I love him. He's my sweetie pie, and you guys probably know that he may possibly have cancer, but to be completely honest with you guys, I have no clue. Lately his testicle area has been looking kind of better, so I guess in a couple of months I will definitely tell you guys if he does or doesn't, because by then I think that if he has testicular cancer, by then it should really kick in. So yeah, so this is Lucky. So basically I got into rats through Lucky. Now if you guys have been watching me for a while, you'll know that I usually talk about how Lucky is technically aggressive. And what I mean by aggressive is in the past there's been times when Lucky has taken a good shot at me and my boyfriend and things like that. So there were lots of times when he left quite a mark on us. To be honest, there's a bite that's so bad from Lucky that my boyfriend still has that mark, and it was done like somewhere last year or something. He's sniffing my head, sorry. But anyways, so when I first got Lucky, of course he was a baby. I first got him from a store, my first job basically. I worked at only pet stores throughout my life. I worked at one mom and pop shop that kept their animals pretty terribly, and then I worked at 2 chain pet stores, which were Pet Schmo and Pet Schmart. So yeah, Lucky was from the first one, and basically he was going to be a feeder rat. They were kept in bins, like literally plastic tubs with aspen, pine, cedar, whatever they could use at the moment. They were kept in those kind of tubs, and it was just, the conditions were absolutely terrible. But the rats, to be honest, were feeders, so I guess they didn't really care too much about, you okay? You okay? What's going on? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you going? So yeah, the rats were kept in terrible conditions, and Lucky, like all of the rats there were all afraid of me. It was completely normal for the rats there to be completely and utterly afraid of me, as most of them were always afraid of humans because they lived in terrible conditions again, and they were feeder rats. So I wasn't into rats just yet, but I always had a bit of an interest in rats ever since I was a little girl. But, so basically, he was the only rat, the absolutely only rat out of all the baby rats, adult rats, didn't matter. He was literally the only rat that would go up to me without hesitation and literally just start like climbing on me. Like, you see how he's just climbing on me now? He would be like this, like he already knew me. And it was honestly just kind of weird, and I really just didn't understand it because it was not normal. All the babies were super afraid of me, and he was literally the only one that would act like that. Okay, so sorry about that. I temporarily put Lucky up because I felt like he was getting a little stressed. I'll bring him back up in a minute. Lucky was the only baby rat that was not scared of me. He would come up to me and cuddle me and get on me like he already knew me, which was just really weird because it just made no sense. Most baby rats, or rats in general that don't know you, will not really generally act like that. So anywho, at this point I kind of brushed it off because I didn't think that my boyfriend would let me. What are you doing? Stop. Would you chill? Look at this guy. Chill. Anyways, yeah, so I kind of brushed it off. I was like, whatever, I don't think my boyfriend's gonna let me bring a rat home. So I didn't at first, and by then when I was kind of getting in the know-how with rats, like, I didn't know a whole lot about rats at this time, but I had done some research in the past about rats before I even started working at this job. So luckily I did know, for a fact, I did know that they needed the biggest cage, and I also didn't know already that the only bedding they could technically use was fleece and things like that. That, luckily, I already knew. I didn't have to research it. I already knew about that. Okay, so sorry about this. My lighting is going to be a little bit off, so it should come back in time. So just let it adjust. So the second day I came back and I knew he was there because, again, I went to the same bin that I knew he was in, and again, he was the only rat that would come out of the bin and just go right up to me and not have any hesitation, no, not scared, nothing. So I went to go see if he was still there, and he was. So on that very day, the second day, luckily my boyfriend, he worked at the same time that I would work sometimes, but he worked in the mornings and then I would work at night sometimes. So basically his job was like really close to me. So my boyfriend would literally come by every day and just like say goodbye to me sometimes. He'd stop by work and say goodbye because he was going to be at home. And so it was really easy for him to come see me again. So I asked him, and I basically begged him at this point if I could take this rat home. I told him, look, don't worry, I'm going to take care of this rat on my own. You know, I told him, like, I will do everything to take care of this rat. So he said, okay, fine. So I took the one rat home. I took Lucky home. And at that point, I was literally like crying because I was crying tears of joy because I felt bad that this particular rat was going to be snake food, because I felt that this rat was telling me that he wanted a chance at life. This is the way I saw it. I saw it as that he was telling me that he needed a chance at life. And I got Brownie from the same exact place, almost around the same exact time. So that's how I know they're basically the same age. So the same kind of thing happened with Brownie. If you want to go see Brownie's story, my mouse, go ahead and I'll put the links up here somewhere. So, but yeah, I felt like he was telling me he wanted a chance at life, so I was glad that he wasn't going to be a feeder. Shortly after I got Lucky, I ended up getting him his own cage, maybe like 3 or 4 days after, like basically on my next day off. I got him the big cage, which is the cage that you guys always see back here. It's the big cage that you always see back here. I got that cage just for him. Here's the problem. When I was doing this, I already actually knew that they were not solitary animals. I knew that. I was aware that rats were not solitary animals. Because, you know, again, I had done my research way before I even thought about getting a rat, because typically I look up pet care as a hobby, if that makes sense. I look up pet care videos just for fun. Even if I don't own the animal, even if I know I may not own the animal ever, I just kind of like knowing that. That's why I know a lot about some pets, and I guess I'm smarter than the average person about most pets. That's because I like to look up pet care, because it's just something I like doing. It's something I like looking up. I enjoy it. So anyways, I had already looked up a lot of rat care, and I knew that rats were not solitary animals. But at this point, all I wanted was Lucky. I wanted to get Lucky out of the way, and I wanted to just help him. So basically, I ended up naming him Lucky because my boyfriend told me, hey, this rat is really lucky. And I'm like, hey, Lucky, because he could have been snake food, and he wasn't. So anyways, I shortly asked for another rat after that, and the thing is Lucky, when he first came home, his urine and his poop and everything smelled absolutely terrible. Now, keep in mind that this had gone on for months and months and months and months. So I literally fought back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for Lucky throughout the... Sorry. I'm spitting everywhere. I spit sometimes when I talk. I'm sorry. I don't have any food. I don't have any food. I don't have any food. At this point, I had really been fighting back and forth to keep Lucky. There were so many times when my boyfriend did not want Lucky in the house. And not only did he not want him in the house, but a lot of the people that I room with, they also did not want Lucky in this house. So I literally was on a fine line for Lucky. There were so many times that Lucky was going to be have to be like readopted from somebody else, or there were so many times when, and like, to be fair, even I couldn't stand the smell, to be honest. Sometimes the urine was really, really strong. I had no idea what was happening. I thought that maybe that's just the way rats smell. But a miracle kind of happened after that. Getting into this pet care with the whole rats, this was not intentional, but I decided to change Lucky's diet. I decided to look up the absolute best food you can feed rats and mice, and for the most part, I got the Oxbow brands that were recommended to me. So I started buying Oxbow, and I stopped giving Lucky like the seed type mixes and the weird like crappy Katie type brands and stuff like that. So when I started doing that, maybe a few weeks after, the smell had stopped. The smell that Lucky was making with his urine had completely stopped. Well, I don't want to say completely, but for the most part it had stopped, and it was no longer super, super, super strong. You done? So after that, after the smell had gotten relatively better, I was able to keep Lucky for the most part. Now, keep in mind, I still had to clean his cage around that time, like every 3 days, because the pee was still quite strong because he was a brand new fresh male. He was kind of in his teen stage, and when they're in their teen stage and they're not super old or anything yet, they still have a lot of high urine smells, I guess. So I still had the problem, but it was nowhere near as bad, and it was just okay enough for Lucky to be able to stay here. But then another problem arose with Lucky. Another problem that I had with Lucky is when, after the pee had already stopped, we started realizing that Lucky was starting to get really aggressive. Now at this time I was not allowed to get another rat, simply for the reason being that everyone in this house that I was living in, everyone in the house thought that if I added another rat that they were going to have to deal with more urine smell, and they were already putting up with Lucky's smell enough. So at that point, they really didn't want that. But when Lucky's smell got better, we decided maybe it's okay for him to get another friend. I basically begged my boyfriend again, from the same place that Lucky came from, if I could bring another rat home, and that rat that I fell in love with was Charlie. And I kind of thought that, hey, Lucky's getting aggressive, but what if giving him a buddy helps? At this point, Lucky had been away from other rats for quite some time. So when it was about time for Lucky to finally get a new friend, I tried several times to reintroduce Lucky to his new cage mate Charlie, and no matter what I seemed to do, no matter every single trick that I tried in the book, Lucky was unfortunately not cooperating, and he was not going to be okay with Charlie, it seemed, ever. So after that devastating news for me that he was probably not going to be able to be with other rats, I unfortunately from there had to put him in a smaller enclosure, which I deeply resent, but at that point I just didn't know what to do. I personally could not ever part with Lucky after everything I had been through with him, just to set him up with someone who was probably going to take worse care of him than I would have. Believe it or not, even though he lives in a small cage, you know, I could have put him back as a feeder, or I could have handed him off to somebody who would have fed him low quality food, not really played with him a lot. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is I'm not perfect, but he could have gotten a worse home than me. So I ended up keeping Lucky from there, and I literally just, I didn't care how aggressive he got with me. I didn't care about anything. I literally fought so hard to keep Lucky here. It was a struggle for a very long time, for most of his life so far, with us, and that was basically the whole first year that Lucky was with us. He was either sometimes aggressive towards me, that made him not really approachable to my boyfriend or anybody else, and you know, he could never probably be handled with kids and stuff like that. So it made things really, really rough. And a lot of people, even people who were keeping Lucky as a pet or something like that, would have not been able to put up with him. They would have took him back to a pet store, or possibly even just thrown him outside, who knows. But you know, overall, a lot of people would have just given up on Lucky for all the things that have happened with him, smell-wise or aggressiveness, you know. So I did realize that he couldn't be with another rat. So from then on, I had another problem, which was Charlie being alone. Now I knew from everything possible I saw in Charlie, I knew for a fact that Charlie had to have a companion rat. And the reason why I thought that is because there were no signs whatsoever of aggression with Charlie, ever. Literally no signs of aggression. He's literally my nicest rat that I have, believe it or not. So that's when I ended up getting Oscar, because I couldn't leave Charlie alone. He was super social, so there was no way I was going to be able to leave him alone. And when I met Oscar at PetSmart, I knew from there this is a perfect companion for Charlie. And the craziest thing has happened recently with Lucky. After everything that has happened, his aggression has literally been put to a stop. Yeah, he's literally not my aggressive rat anymore. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to add is that when I had Oscar and Charlie, I actually did finally try to reintroduce all three of them to Lucky, and believe it or not, there was some progress. I was doing the whole bath thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, and believe it or not, things were getting better. From there, I was just like, okay, I think this might work. So I tried to eventually, very slowly, get Lucky to be in the cage with Charlie and Oscar, and that was not working out at all. I was super scared for Charlie and Oscar's life at that point sometimes, and then that derailed. So I started taking them back to the bathtub for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Weeks turned into months, and no matter what, he was just not getting better at that point, and it just slowly derailed to the point of where Oscar got really hurt, to the point of where he got this really big, huge, gaping hole in his head at some point. And at that point, I'm like, I can only try this so much until somebody gets seriously hurt, and I'm gonna have to take them to the vet ASAP. And I just couldn't deal with that. I couldn't keep using Oscar and Charlie as like guinea pigs, you know, like testing it out. I couldn't keep doing this, and I was just like, you know what, this sucks. On the flip side, maybe one last time I will try to get Charlie and Oscar to be with Lucky again. Again, like I said, the aggression signs don't show anymore in Lucky, so hopefully things might work out. And I'm not even looking, because this is kind of a small cage for 3 rats, I'm not even looking for all 3 of them to live in here. I'm just looking to hopefully get Lucky to play with them in this cage about twice a day or something like that. I'm not looking for them to, all 3 of them, just live completely in here 24/7. So yeah, that's Lucky's story. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention is when I first got Lucky, he actually had a huge case of mites and mange. Yeah, the first year I had him, I realized that later on when I had first gotten him when he was a baby, I realized that he had gotten mites and apparently mange. So I had to take him to the vet for that and get that cleared up. And then after that, Lucky slowly started getting bumblefoot. I had to cure for that. I used Blue Coat. If you want to get this on Amazon, you can. I'll leave the link down below. But Blue Coat literally cures bumblefoot 100%. It cured Lucky. Now to this day, Lucky may or may not have cancer. I still don't know. So I feel like if he did, things would have gotten worse by now. I'm not sure, but within a few months, if nothing's changed with Lucky, I'll tell you guys definitely that there is no possible way Lucky has cancer, because months and months can't go by and he's still the same. There's no way that's cancer after that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Meet My Pets with Lucky. Big story with Lucky. He's the reason that I got into rats, odd enough. For some reason, there was just something about Lucky that I liked a lot. I don't really know what it was. I know he was a little temperamental most of his life, but I don't really know. But there was something about Lucky that I just couldn't let go of. So yeah, if you guys like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you're looking to find this original Pet Adventures shirt, this is what it looks like. If you're looking to get this beautiful Pet Adventures original shirt, go to my website. They're all right there. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and give this video a big thumbs up, especially if you love pets. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!